Hello everybody, my name is Jacob and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to properly fit, measure, and confirm shoulder pads on the athlete for football. So one of the first things we need to know before we get started with the fitting is the shoulder pad types. There's two different types of shoulder pads. We have one being non-cantilevered, which would be just as so. Non-cantilevered means that there's just padding on the inside of the shoulder pads, while cantilevered is typically has a neck roll attachment to this back side here. So for the sake of today's demonstration, we don't have a non-cantilevered shoulder pad. However, it would include a neck roll that attaches to the back here. Cantilevered shoulder pads, they're typically more bulkier and they're used by linemen, specifically O linemen and D linemen. Non-cantilevered shoulder pads would be just as so and typically worn by quarterbacks, wide receivers, and anything considered a skilled position. Today we'll be fitting my helper here, Simon. So to properly fit and ensure properly fitting shoulder pads here, we're going to go ahead and measure his chest and width of his shoulders. So we're going to go ahead and measure in inches. Go ahead, turn around. Next, we're going to go ahead and measure his shoulder width. Shoulder widths, we want to go ahead and measure from the lateral humerus of the left side to the right lateral aspect of his other humerus. In this case, we're going to be taking our measurement from left to right, and the right lateral aspect of his humerus will give us our measurement. So Simon here is about an 18. Based off the Riddell size chart, he would be considered a medium in his shoulder pads. So before we start measuring Simon, we just want to make sure the shoulder pads cover a few anatomical bony landmarks. One being the clavicle, right up top, also known as the collarbone. The middle of his chest was going to be the sternum that we want to go ahead and cover. Also on the back side of the athlete, we also want to make sure that his scapula is covered along with the rhomboid area. So to properly fit and measure, we already did our measurement. We're going to go ahead and put it over Simon's head, carefully pulling it down, carefully not to hit his nose or eyes. So first thing we want to do is tighten the front part of his shoulder pads, just to ensure that they're on safely. Next, we want to go ahead and confirm that his lateral aspects of the humerus are being covered and properly secured. Looks like a good fit. Next, we're going to go ahead and tighten the rope in the middle of the chest. This is to ensure the safety that the shoulder pads will be protecting the breastplate. Next, go ahead and lift up your arm. We got side straps that we're going to go ahead and tighten down and a little tighter there. This is going to ensure the properly fitted shoulder pads that are going to hug his humerus head. Some shoulder pads have straps. These, however, just have these fitting straps here. I'll go ahead and tighten. Other straps have holders here where we could tighten these down. However, when he puts the jersey on and over it's going to go ahead and hold it down. After properly fitting and tugging on these shoulder pads, next we just want to make sure that our athlete can move functionally, perform different movements within the shoulder pads. So next thing we want to have him do is go ahead and lift his arms above his head and just making sure there's no pinching on the breastplate there. You feel anything? No. Okay. Second, we're going to go ahead and by the straps, just confirm that they're snug and make sure there's no pinching or binding in the shoulder armpit area. Go ahead. No pinching up in there? No. Okay, after this, we just want to double check that we're properly fitted. Going right back over to the humeral heads, making sure they're covered by the pads. That looks good. Making sure the clavicle and sternum are covered at the breastplate. Looks about good there. Go ahead and turn around. And just making sure that the scapula and the rhomboid area is really covered to ensure the safety of this athlete and his back. Feel good? Yeah. This is how you properly measure and confirm properly fitting shoulder pads for the athlete's safety.
Hey guys, we're doing helmet fitting today. And basically, it's 3 separate steps. It's prep, fitting, and then upkeeping it as a responsibility of an athletic trainer. So to begin in prepping a helmet fitting, you're going to be making sure that the hair on the athlete, if it isn't short or skin depth, skin length, to make sure that it's wet or at least flat to the head so that it's simulating in-game sweat or in-game length. So Randy has long hair, and for a real fitting, we would wet his hair, make sure that it's pressed up against his head so that when we do the fitting, it is accurate and will not change during the game. So we're going to be making sure to do that, and then we're also going to be measuring the head, just the circumference around the head, and then that measurement will give us the general size for the brand of helmet that we'd be using. So, doing the head. And Randy is a little over 21 inches and a quarter. And then using the brand, you would look up the recommended size of that brand. And for this brand, we're using a Schutt. So always remember that specific brand will have specific directions, whether that's fitting or usage or maintenance. So always keep in touch with that. So we're gonna place the helmet on. So the initial things we're going to be looking for as the athlete places the helmet on is the chin strap position, making sure that when we put it on that it will be snug and won't move. Too snug. So then loosening these are just pretty simple. You're just going to be feeding in through this and then just loosening it as it goes. And then just making sure that it's even on both sides when you do the adjustment. Okay, and then once the chin strap is secure, then you can start testing the movement of the helmet as it sits right now without the balloons inflated. So you're gonna be checking the side-to-side motion, try to keep your head as still as possible, and you don't wanna see any movement in there that's not skin tight or moving the skin on the face as well. So then we're gonna be moving it up and down, and a little movement is fine, but making sure that it isn't something large enough that we'd have to change in size. Also, you're going to be checking to make sure that it's around an inch above the eyebrow. So for here, we're going to have to adjust it a little bit in a second, and then making sure that there's enough room in between the face mask and the person's face, whether that's 2 or 3 fingers is the test. And this is perfect length. So we're just going to end up, let's see. We'll loosen this real fast, and then let's adjust it up a little bit. There you go. So after making sure that the face mask is the proper length, there's enough room up top above the eyebrow, and that the chin strap is secured, then you can make sure to check the back of the helmet, and just to make sure that the occiput or the back of the skull is protected, and it isn't protected. And then coming back around, we'll just do one more check, and in any places or any of the rotational movement, whether that's left or right or up and down, if there is any more movement, that's where inflating the balloon will add that proper fitment and that security. And also, one more thing to check is the sides. On the left and right side, there's going to be holes on the helmet. That's for an opening for the ear, and making sure that lines up perfectly with the external auditory meatus, and then on both sides. And they are both in line. So that's how we know it's fitting. And then the last thing as an athletic trainer is to make sure to keep all this equipment not only fitted on the first time, but all throughout the season, whether that's traveling and there's altitude changes on location, or if the chin strap gets removed, to make sure and double check that those things are secured. Also, most helmets will have jaw pads here that are removable, and making sure that those aren't missing or the wrong sizes, whether that's switching helmets or missing plays, like to remember that that is something that has to be included in that helmet. And then just routinely check and maintain as a responsible athletic trainer. That is going to be one of your responsibilities and part of your expectations. So there you go.